Well, I am finally trading in the 2022 CRF450RL for their brand newly announced 2025 CRF450RL, and the best part is that it's only going to cost me 30 cents. And how, you may ask? Bold new graphics. Yeah, Honda actually took a page out of Suzuki's book for once. Last month they announced their 2025 lineup, and with it came a lot of changes. There was a brand new chassis redesign, there were new improvements to the forks, to the shocks, brand new airbox, brand new ECU maps even. There was a lot to talk about for the 450R and for the 250R anyway. Clearly a lot to talk about when it came to the race bikes. For the 450RL, however, there was basically one line in their statement saying, yeah, we still have that one. And I totally get that. I'm not bashing Honda for this at all. That's their MO. They always improve the race bikes first, and then the other secondary bikes like the 450RL, like the 450X, they get that stuff later down the line. They're always one generation behind. And so of course, when there comes a major announcement for their primary motocross bikes, you're not gonna expect much when it comes to these ones. All I can really speculate at this point is that the 450RL will eventually get some of these things that they announced in a year or two, maybe. All that said though, they did provide us a brand new graphic redesign this year, which did go across their entire lineup, not just the race bikes. And I gotta say, I really like this new design. It's definitely harkening back to the design that they used to use for the CR250 in the mid-90s, although clearly it's less jagged or less extreme, as someone from the 90s might describe it. It's a little bit more grown up, understated even. So because I like it so much, and that's the only change as far as I can see that the 450RL is getting next year, that I'll just make myself a 2025 model. So I took a couple of the press photos that I could find online and traced out the lettering as well as that triangle looking thingy. Thankfully the font that they use is really blocky and angular, so it's really easy to make myself a clean traced version of that, and then I can upload that ultimately into Cricut so I can get that cut into vinyl stickers. And I've done this before, as you can clearly tell. Actually the lettering with this one in particular is from a 2015 CRF450R, at least I think I remember it being that way. Anyway, the reason why I did this ultimately is because I wanted something that was kind of stock, but I didn't want as much white as the stock graphics had. And even though this new redesign does have white lettering, I'm actually thinking of ditching that entirely and going completely blue. Maybe a two-tone blue where the triangle thing is the dark blue that you see here with something a little bit lighter for the lettering. But now that I have the design ready to cut, I need to now figure out how big to make them. So while comparing the press photos to my shroud, I'm going to outline where I think the sticker should go and take some measurements. So then once I had all of those measurements, I just sized the stuff that I have already created to fit, made a couple of revisions to actually fit things for real, and decided to go a little bit further and revise the design too. So I know that I said earlier that I want to do this like two-tone blue to keep everything as blue as possible. So the triangle is going to be more of this dark blue and then something a little bit lighter for the lettering. However, I took a look at the plastics and what I've had on it so far, and for the most part, this is just two colors. It's the Honda red and then this one deep blue color. So I wanted to keep that as much as possible. And looking at my number plates here, you can see that the lettering is the same color as the actual plate behind it. So that way I'm really only doing two colors. So I made some revisions again to the design, and once I had everything lined up and I knew exactly where I was going to do it, then I decided to make some slightly smaller versions of the C, the R, and the F to place inside that, and then using the Cricut software I was able to do a slice, so this is all coming out as one piece. And it actually made the fitment a lot easier too, because I'm only dealing with one piece here rather than four if I were to do it piecemeal with the CRF being a different color. And then we get to this side here. Obviously this is just the mirror image, although it looks the same, but this is actually quite a bit different. So this side was actually trickier for a couple of reasons. So the C, R, and F, you can see the font, it's like italicized, you know, it's leaning to the side. And because it's leaning to the side, it actually hinders it, and there's not as much room here if you wanted to space it out exactly like you would have on the other side. So it might not look it, but the C, R, and F on this side are actually a lot smaller. And the other tricky part with this is that all of the press photos, all the profile shots that it has is more on the other side, the right side, that's the side that's always shown. And there was literally only one picture that had this side, and it was a side profile shot, so it was kind of like this. So it was really difficult to see things lined up, and because it was a smaller picture, it was quite blurry once I had it blown up enough that I could kind of see this in a little bit more detail. But for the most part, I'd kind of guesstimated a little bit, and seeing that the slashes right here for the base of the letter right there all kind of lined up with this side of the triangle. I don't know, it's not perfect at all, but the nice thing about this is that you're not gonna see this exactly the same way as you're gonna see it on this side. Since they're on both opposite ends, you can't really compare the two. You can't line them up as much. Even on the front profile here, you can't see anything at all, so I can get away with a few differences here and there. So there we have it. We have ourselves a brand new 2025 CRF450RL. And I gotta say, again, I really love these graphics, and I think it really benefits the bike in general, everything else that I have on this thing too. It gives us a really nice balance, and I really like the profile. When you stand back and look at it, you can really tell with shots like this, and this, and this, and this one too. In general, I actually like stock graphics, although I like to tweak things just a little bit, mostly color changes. So I think with this particular change here, I'm getting rid of all that white in there, so it's not red, white, and blue, it's just red and blue. But let me know your thoughts. Do you like the 2025 graphics? Are you excited for the 2025 CRF450RL? If there's any other changes besides that, although there's probably more excitement for the 450R and for the 250R lineup. But I'm still curious, let me know your thoughts. Do you like this? Do you not like it? Put it all in the comments down below.